Ever scroll through your long list of heroes, looking at all these different purple healers and having no idea which one you should level? If that sounds like you, stick around because I'm going to go through the top 5 dark healers in the game. I'm also going to throw in some honorable mentions and some fantastic 4 stars that you definitely should level. Greetings, loyal minions. Welcome back to the SciShow, the #1 ranked YouTube channel for people who show other people that they care about them. If that's you, I appreciate you. It doesn't matter how you show them, it doesn't matter what words you say, but yeah, I just like people who go out of their way to really make sure the people they care about know it. I personally struggle with it, but yeah, things will happen in life and you will regret not showing them that they mean something to you. So, to all those people out there that do that, I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone else as well. Now that was getting a little bit too deep and serious for myself, so I'll possibly need to turn that into a joke and just say that you can show me you care by gently caressing that subscribe button. My previous video in this series on the best yellow healers in the game did quite well. However, there was a little bit of feedback about including not just some honorable mentions, but trying to include as many heroes as I can without going overboard. So if you haven't checked that video out, go watch it now. But we are moving straight into the fantastic 4-star purple healers. Whilst these healers may not make the final list as they are 4 stars and obviously underpowered, they can still give you some fantastic bang for your buck and are generally a lot easier to come by than some of the healers in the top 5 list. I'm not going to go hugely in depth with these first heroes, and I'm looking at Toon Regard and Toon Sabine together as they are basically a pigeon pair. Now they are both doing 45% heal, which is quite a big heal, and the percentage heals are fantastic as they will increase over time as heroes get more and more HP. We have Toon Regard who dishes out a cleanse, Toon Sabine who does a dispel, so it's basically the same, just opposite. And they are both throwing up the plus 34% to defense. Now, Regard has always been highly regarded in the game as one of the best 4-star healers, if not the best 4-star healer. I personally have always felt Sabine was just as good, not quite as good as generally Regard, even without the previous versions of Regard has the attack up bonus instead of defense. But yeah, basically they're almost the same. They are still useful even without the Toon costumes. Obviously with the Toon costumes, they both get the Toon resist, which is fantastic. But definitely both great additions. Sabine is great. I love healers who can dispel. And similar, obviously a cleanse is always handy. So 2 absolutely fantastic 4 stars that if you have these 2, you really do need to level at least one of them. You know, again, most people would take Regard over Sabine, but depending on what's useful to you and what sort of heroes you're struggling against, these are basically must-haves. The other 2 4 stars worth mentioning, in my opinion, are Kitty, who isn't as great a healer as she does do the boost over time. I believe it's about 150 per turn for 3 turns, but has the amazing ability of reflecting the ailments back to a random enemy, which can be extremely overpowered versus certain heroes, and also has the underestimated passives and family bonus of the Musketeer cover, so that can really help out once it's gone off in a pinch. And finally, we have Annabelle, who gives a 45 to 65% heal, so that's, if it's getting anything over 50 is absolutely humongous, but on the flip side, does remove all buffs and ailments, even from your own hero. So slight downside, it does make her a little bit harder to pair up, but with that huge heal, yeah, just fantastic hero. So again, all of these 4 stars are well worth leveling if you have any, and in some cases can be almost as useful as a 5-star. Obviously that power gap is getting larger and larger, but they can still be useful as long as they go off before the enemy you need. So especially in a rush war type situation, it can be worthwhile taking a lesser hero just to try and get those couple of matches and get something like the Reflect up, which can be extremely useful if you're thinking about an Alfreak type of skill. Getting someone like a Kitty up, if Kitty's the only one you have with Reflect, can be absolutely amazing and just render our Freak basically useless and you know, hurts her own team more than yours. As we know, we can't have an award ceremony anymore without giving some honourable mentions to everyone who doesn't win. So again, without going into too much detail, my honourable mentions are Aramis, Luna and Voidstar. So the reasons they haven't quite made the list, Aramis, he's giving quite a good boost. So he boosts based on his damage. And that boost can be, I think it's around about sort of 650, depending on how much you have him leveled. He does the damage to 3. He also gives you the immunity to ailments. But based on the fact, depending on where you are in the battle, if you know there's only one enemy left to hit, or if you've killed someone and can only hit 2 maximum, it does drop that heal down. So it's not as guaranteed as a normal heal. Still a fantastic healer in his own right. Unfortunately, he's a little bit outdated already. We know that happens reasonably quickly, but definitely still viable and can almost be used as a healer as opposed to a damage dealer, but obviously doing both. Luna, as we know, was available recently in the Soul Exchange, and a lot of people did pick her up, so definitely a good one to include, as a lot of people may have Luna in their roster. Missing out on the list due to being a slightly less effective healer with just 20%. Now, we do know that it's not her main, like the sort of main annoyance of her skill is the fact that we're dropping 5% mana of 3 enemies each turn, as long as you have allies on either side of you with the buff. So yeah, that's why she's just missing out. Does a very small amount of damage with those extra hits, but dropping the mana is extremely useful. However, as a healer, just not quite enough to make it to the final list. Voidstar is slightly similar. Voidstar is basically a sniper, hits the damage and does a heal based on how much damage. Now, it is only hitting 1 person, so it's a little more reliable than Aramis. And I believe it gives again, depending on level, I think mine's at level 80, emblemed but not limit broken, and does around about 500 heal each time. So again, that's quite a useful heal. But when you're looking at some of those top healers doing sort of around 50%, which you know is 12 or 1300 HP, the 500 does seem quite small, but still very useful. Also gives defense up versus special skills, so quite a handy hero. And if you've watched my war videos, if you haven't, go check them out. But yeah, if you've watched them, you can see that it does do enough of a heal to sort of keep your team going. So again, a lot of things with healers depends on your play style and who you're going up against. I always like to have sort of a secondary healer, which can do damage as well. So Voidstar is absolutely amazing for that, but not quite good enough to get onto the top 5. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the extremely controversial top 5. It's going to have the whole internet talking for probably years to come. However, before we get into the top 5, just a quick thank you to everyone who supported the channel. I really do appreciate it. It's been a fantastic year. I'm hoping to get this video out before New Year, so thank you all again for the support throughout the year. We are cracking close to 700 subscribers, so it would be lovely to get there by the end of the year. If you are watching and haven't yet subscribed, if you enjoy what I'm putting out, please gently caress that subscribe button. Give your kitty a scritch for me. No, wait, hang on. I need to say that at the end of the video. But yeah, gently caress that subscribe button. I really do appreciate the support. Stay tuned until the end, as I will be throwing in a budget bonanza bonus basement something else with B pick for anyone that may have that hero and not be sure whether it's worth leveling. But now, on to the top 5. Kicking us off at number 5, as you can see, is Darkfeather. This could be quite controversial, but come at me. It's a list of healers. Darkfeather is absolutely fantastic. I love using him. His skill is just amazing to watch and can absolutely wreck certain teams. It's great against Titans, but it does only have a 25% heal, which is why I've slotted it in at the 5th position. He his extra skill is fantastic and is more of an offensive skill. So I feel with a lot of other heroes in the list, they have more defensive skills that work better with a heal. Obviously, Darkfeather is fantastic. The passives are extremely underrated with the goblins, so 50% chance to deal 90% damage to all enemies, but the minus 25% accuracy for 3 turns, which, as we know, when they're on defense, it seems to be about a 75% drop to accuracy. So that's fantastic in itself. We have the defense up, Aether Talent. We can see the skills there. I'm only going to go over the main things that I believe make him worthy of the list. We have a 25% heal, as I've mentioned. He does do the growth, which is 180 attack and 180 defense. So that growth does help, but he does need to fire 3 or 4 times for it to make a really big difference. And I just don't think it's defensive enough. And the third effect is the one we all love, where all allies have a 50% chance to deal 240% damage to a random enemy after any subsequent allied special skill is cast for 3 turns. So that is the extra bonus that we love, and it can really do a lot of damage. But in regards to the heal, we're looking at 25%, which is nice. He does give the added growth defense, which all helps out as well, and the passives, which, as I've mentioned, can cause the blindness and cause the enemy to miss. So absolutely fantastic hero. Definitely deserves a spot on the list. It is also a good time to mention that there are, whenever I put these videos together, it just almost blows my mind as to how many heroes there are. And even in this list, off the top of my head, I hadn't thought of a heap of great purple healers, like especially compared to the holy healer list that I did. But when I started looking, there was just an absolute shit ton. So yeah, you know, that heroes such as, I mean, quite old now, but Kunshan, we've got Zonalfod, Quartz, Hulda, Hawthorne, Scathe, all great heroes in their own right. And on a different day, they could make the list or get close to the list. But yeah, it's just an absolute ton of them out there. So wrapping that up, Darkfeather at number 5. Number 4. Odile. So another reasonably small healer or booster in this case, with Odile doing 475 boosted health. Boost can be good. Odile is fast, so if you can get her off nice and quick, you can actually get that health boosted. I would generally say, again, that the healers with a percentage are going to be far more effective from a healing point of view, but that boosted health can be fantastic as well if you actually can get over your full health, your max HP. So the reason Odile has beaten out Darkfeather is just for the, what I will call the flexibility of the dance feature. So as we know, there are a lot of heroes now with the ballads and dances, which can be absolutely devastating, and Odile has the power to sort of override or block a lot of those ailments. So it's an underspellable dance, which just makes it so strong. We do have the extra effect that at the end of each turn, the dancers deal 155% damage to a random enemy and boost their health for 25% of that damage dealt. So that's actually quite handy. It just keeps that damage going, gives them a little bit of extra boost at the same time, gives them 20% mana generation, which is obviously very, very important. Immunity to new status effects, new dance status effects will replace it. So it can overwrite the other dance effects, but dance effects will replace this one if you have it up early. And the effect cannot be dispelled. So it is just a fantastic defensive element of the special that's also doing the boost. She resists defense, heals herself on status ailment expirement, so there's a few little bonuses there. She is also a rogue, so has the dodge, which is extremely useful. Aether Talent of defense up. All around great booster and sort of defensive support hero. Unfortunately, already starting to sort of fade a little bit in regards to overall team power and that type of thing, but still absolutely fantastic. And I use her quite often. As I said, that dance effect is something that's just extremely useful. Thinking about, you know, your Bernadettes and those type of heroes. Bernadette dispels and then adds that stupid cursed painting. Odile can block that. On the off chance that it's already on, she can also remove it if she's able to get a special off. So number 4 on the list is Odile. Coming in at number 3, we have Delufla, a relatively new hero, part of the new Untold Tales. What is it? The something of Frost and Fire, I believe. I can't remember the exact name. But relatively new. Did not think this hero would be in the list, as when it was released, it was basically useless, to be honest. It had a little bit going on, but as you can see here, I've had to update some of the stats. A good time to mention that whilst there is a lot of very good resources available out there online, it's always good to double check, because there are a lot of updates in the game, balance changes and that type of thing, and not all of the resources get updated very, very quickly. So you can see here I've added the 30% heal. So the hero didn't have a heal when she was released, but very soon after release, it was added as a 30% heal. So that's quite a good heal running at fast speed. So I do love a fast healer. It just means if you manage to get your 7 tiles, depending on your troops, etc., you will get that heal up nice and quickly. So on top of the heal, we have the Molten Core passive, which is quite useful. Works very similar to the Construct Core that we've seen in heroes like Charl and Blossom and etc, etc. So the Molten Core activates each time you cast your special. It builds up from 0 to 100% and can do a varying amount of damage, but in this case, all enemies receive Corrosive Burn for 3 turns. With a fully charged core, it's 219 burn damage and lowers a target's defense by 10% each turn. So very, very good skill there. We have the Resist, which is the Empowered Resist Burn. So take it against any sort of burn hero and you're actually going to get healed for 450 boosted health and 5% mana each time you resist that burn. So very, very strong there. On top of the 30% heal which was added, we also get a Firestorm Ward, which reduces incoming special skill damage by up to minus 1200. That was originally 820, I believe. So again, it was quite low. Reduces damage by an additional 30% when the attacker is of the nature element, and also gives immunity to new status ailments for 4 turns. So it has a lot going on. 30% heal straight up is very, very decent for a fast speed. And with all the other stuff going on, it's just providing excellent defense. So not only do you get a heal, but if any heroes are ready to fire off, you're just going to have a lot less damage coming in. Obviously it can be removed via Dispel, but that's the same with a lot of heroes. We're also doing some damage with the passive. So again, it's always nice to have a healer that can add a little bit to your damage and giving immunity to new status ailments. So absolutely fantastic hero. Being that it's very, very new, the stats are also fantastic. So if you happen to pull this, even if you pulled it before the update and don't realize there's been an update, jump on this chick straight away. Not for that reason, although I guess if I've had a drink or two. She does have a cool looking snake. That could be very enticing. Anyway, I digress. Yes. Boost this buxom healer as quickly as you can. Number 2, we have possibly an unexpected pick, as it's not even a hero I've seen that often or sort of thought about too much, but we have Carter. Carter is part of the Construct family and has the Repair Core. So on top of a quite large 45% heal for all allies, the Repair Core, as we can see on the left, also gives an additional boost of up to 25%. So that does scale based on how much damage you've taken and how much charge is in the core, but it basically means you can get up to a 70% heal. So you're generally going to take a little bit of damage before you pop your heal off. You're getting your 45%, which could be anywhere from like 1,000 to 1,500. And then that will generally bring you back up to full health in a lot of cases. And then on top of that, you're getting the boost, which can be another sort of, 5 to 750 type area. Absolutely fantastic from a healing point of view. And on top of that, it's slightly limited, but we're lifting the latest cleansable status ailment for all allies and randomly distributes them on enemies. It is only one, but that can be handy depending on what ailments you have and what timing you can use your special skill. We're also adding the absolute gold 24% mana generation for 3 turns. So anyone who watches me knows how much I love mana. I love mana, like, oh, I just love it. I could just snuggle that extra mana all day. Sorry, got a little bit carried away there. Good thing I stopped that before it got out of hand. Have the counter attack Aether Power, which is quite useful as well. It kind of bugs me when the enemies have that counter attack on and you just don't want to take the damage yourself. Running at average speed. Oh look, if I had have done this list on a different day, it could have even been number 1. But again, there are a lot of different healers. They have different uses and can be fantastic against different teams. But yeah, coming in at number 2, Carter. Given it's a C, I do need to do a little shout out to Spunky Coda, and I think I need to say something along the lines of, I like big cups and I cannot lie. Sorry, there's no cup chasing for you, Coda, but hey, hopefully that, you know, just makes your New Year's Eve for you. And, you know, I don't even know why I needed to say. Anyway, I digress. If anyone wants me to do anything stupid, I'm more than down for it, so just let me know. But there we have it. At number 2, we have Carter. My bonus basement budget bonanza. I have no idea where I came up with that, but it sounds stupid. Is Costume Aeron. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Costume Aeron. Well, for Aeron, to be honest. I never received him until he was kind of useless in the original form. However, I don't know whether it's just because he has a sinister looking face, which reminds me of myself. Look, I don't really look anything like that. Yeah, I don't think we have any similarities really, but he does look cool. But anyway, on to the important stuff. He has a 45% heal, running at average speed. 45% is quite a nice heal. Lifts all cleansable status ailments from the caster and nearby allies. Only, it doesn't do the whole team, randomly distributes them on enemies, but if we flick over to the left, once we get the costume, we have that special passive, which is Cleanse on Special, so it also cleanses the newer status ailment from all allies. Special Armor is the Aether Power, gives him a little bit extra defense. We'll skip over the element link and the Legends bonus. There's some nice little things there if you need them. Obviously quite outdated, being from 2018, however, that costume, I believe you can pull that from the retraining. And yeah, the costume would have also been available, I believe, from the Visiting Outfitter. So I know there's better costumes. I know there's better purple healers, but just as a budget effort, you may have this guy sitting around, not even realise. And yeah, he's actually quite a decent healer once he has that costume. Again, a little bit outdated, but what do you expect for a bonus basement budget bonanza? Or as I like to call it, the BB. Double Bs. Anywho, that's the BB. Number 1, who else could it be but Costume Jiao Chan? Even in the picture you can see with her little hand there, she looks like she's on the phone. She's giving me a call. Sai, please, I'll do anything. Put me number 1 on the list. It just can't go past her. Everyone loves to hate her, or if you have her, you love to love her. For a few months there, she was almost unstoppable when she first came out. She does have a few little counters that are slowly coming out now that are kind of making her a little bit less powerful. But yeah, we'll move straight in. We have the fast speed, 33% health for all allies. Where the big thing came in with the costume is the summoning the minion, which has 33% HP and 33% attack for the caster and nearby allies. The 33% HP was humongous. We can see her health there just with the max costume bonus, 2144. So a third of that. I think in some cases you're getting between sort of 1,000 and 1,200-ish extra HP. So on top of the heal for 33%, your 3 people, caster and nearby, are getting basically another 1,000-ish heal by the minion. She also has resistance against minion removal, so you can remove the minions from whoever's beside her if they don't have that skill, but herself, yeah, she can't have the minions taken, can't be prevented from receiving minions, and the attacks and abilities can't be disabled. So those minions are also stealing a random dispellable buff from an enemy when they hit them, which just keeps giving you any buffs that the enemies may be using. Absolutely fantastic. As I said, for a few months, she was just absolute queening, killing everyone in those wars. It became a nightmare. And yeah, probably brought back a few mono yellow teams to just absolutely try and nail her, but can't go past her number one. Again, keeping in mind that the numbers on the list are just a bit of a guide. They're a little bit of fun to rank them. In different scenarios, different healers will be extremely powerful compared to others. So it depends on who you're going against, whether it's offense or defense, but obviously Costume Diao Chan is just absolutely fantastic. Defense up Aether Power, in case I didn't mention that, makes you a little bit stronger. Has some extra advantages during the War of Three Kingdoms. So yeah, just absolute true number one at the moment. Unless anyone wants to argue and fight, in which case, you know, make your own video, diss me, make a little rap. I've been trying to have fights with someone on YouTube just to get a bit of, you know, media attention, but yeah, Eminem's a bit too busy. He did reply once, but I mean, I'd love to have him on the channel. Give us a little bit of a rap about Costume Diao Chan. I would go into a freestyle now, but no one needs to hear that. I do struggle to end my videos sometimes because I am just clueless. But there we have it. Number one in our Dark Healers in Empires and Puzzles, Costume Diao Chan. Absolute legends, getting through all of that. Thank you for watching. It's a very big Happy New Year from myself and Psycatsis. I know she's the real star of the show. Due to the busy time of year, I haven't been able to get her included as much, but please keep an eye out for more Psycatsis because I know that's why everyone's here. Have a good New Year. Enjoy the time with your loved ones. And remember, gently caress that subscribe button. Give your kitty a scritch for me. And have a good one.